Hey, good morning, Jason. This is a quick demo video for you for your Saberforge Bane MK2. This is still installed with a Golden Harvest, although I took out the original install that you had and completely redid it. So before we go over what I did, I have what I took out here. All right, so you had a Golden Harvest in here. As you can see, your if we can focus in on here, you got a little bit of electrical tape and a little bit of some normal tape over the SD card there, because the purpose here was so that you could gain access to everything through this seedling. But what the seedling did is it essentially gave you a one button setup. All right, so you had a one button setup and a seedling here. I changed it to a two button setup. So your front switch will be your power, your back switch here will be your auxiliary. Moving on to your Neopixel connector. These are a type of Neopixel connector that I just cannot get behind. It's very strange to have the wires coming up on top of the PCB. You've got some long pins there, but as you can see, if I can get the angle right, your long pins are way higher than your PCB holder, even where they stop being springy, right? You could see where they stop there. That could lead to these breaking over time, just depending on how hard you put the blade in. So we went ahead and we got rid of that. All right, got rid of that. And then of course, the last thing here was your speaker here. You have a 28mm speaker, but this is not. It didn't sound as good as the one I put in it. So what we did was I swapped that out for a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. For your PCB connector in here, if you can see that, you have what's called a shadow foil props lit PCB. I know the camera doesn't like to focus on it, but it's something that I'll light up here for you here in a second. But I have one I could show you. This is a brand new one in the pack. All right, so you can see you got more pins, you've got a lot more LEDs on there. I use short pins, and of course I wire everything from the back side instead of coming up towards where the blade goes. All right, so that's what we did there. All right, so put that in there for you. The chassis is a little bit different because you cannot charge or get to your SD card from here anymore since I gave you a two-button setup. What you want to do is come over here and take the pummel off. When you take the pummel off, you'll see a spacer in there. That is a press fit spacer. Just leave it in there. You'd probably have a really hard time trying to get that out anyway, but it's not meant to come out. All right, when you take that off, you'll see your speaker here. Just go ahead and pull it straight out. This is a Smuggler's Outpost 28mm Elite. Of course, it's in its own speaker pod. When you look back here, you'll see a few things going on. This is a micro DIN connector, this red piece right here. That's what connects to the actual chassis and it gives you sound. This hole right here in the middle is for clearance for the kill key that's in your recharge port. You can see it right there in the middle, right next to my finger. You can see that micro DIN connector over here on the bottom of your chassis. And that little hole right up there, right above the kill key in the recharge port, is this peg here. This is just a locating peg that helps you line up this speaker pod and press it in correctly so you get a good connection. All right, so that's what we've got there. You take the speaker pod out, and then when you look in here, you know, I explained what these three things were. So micro DIN connector, that's a kill key inside of a normal 2.1mm recharge port, and of course that's the hole for your locating peg. Now when you look up here, that's where your Golden Harvest is at. Let me try to shine a flashlight in there for you. You can get to that SD card with a pair of tweezers. It's pretty bright, but if you look in there right there, you've got access to your SD card right there. All right, and a little bit of there's a cutout in the chassis to make it easier for you to get that out. Normally, what I do is I go in there with a pair of tweezers. You need to push the SD card because once you push it, it will pop out, it unlocks from the board, and then you can grab the SD card and pull it out. Same thing when you're putting it in. Be very careful when you put it in, but when you put it in, you'll get it in the slot. You need to push it because it's basically a push, click, and lock system on the board. All right. Golden Harvest boards are like that. CFX boards are like that. Profis are not. Profis, you just slide the SD card in and it stays in. So that's what you've got right there. You'll need a small tool to get the kill key out. It doesn't have to be something big like this. This is just what I have on hand. But basically what you'll do is just come over here and grab that kill key and pull it right out. All right. I gave you this. It's nothing very fancy. This is actually a round one that I print, and I just cut the sides off to make it easier to grab with something. So that's what that looks like right there. But once you have pulled that kill key out, you can come over here and you can say, okay, well, I'm going to line up my speaker pod. I'm going to put it in. All right. Once you've done it a few times, it becomes very easy to do, and you can do it that quickly. All right. First couple times, you'll probably play around with it a little bit, but you'll get it. And once you've got that clicked all the way in, you can lock your pommel in, and now you can come over here and hit power. Auxiliary is down here. Power. Hold it down and turn it off. All right, we'll hold down the auxiliary.
Sound menu.
Go to another sound font.
The Shadow. Cryocarbon.
When you see one you like, hold the button down. Whoops, wrong button. So it's the power switch to go from font to font, and then it's the auxiliary switch holding it down to lock in that font. I am admittedly not very versed on the functions of Golden Harvest. I don't do them very often at all. I haven't had a chance to play around with one. I don't have one in my collection. What I can guarantee you is that it's wired correctly, but everything else like the config and loading fonts, that's something that you're going to have to play around with. All right, but as far as functionality, this thing is fired up. Your LEDs in there are firing up as well. Whoops. We'll hold power down to turn it on. This is meant for a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade, so we're going to put that right in there. You'll feel it bounce on the pins, right? So just hold it down on the pins like you would have on your old setup, and then lock down your blade retention. When your Saber came, it was missing a blade retention. Just put a new one in. It's not a big deal. It was an 832 grub screw right here. That's the size in case you ever lose it again. All right. This is my test blade, so it's a lot shorter, but it is set up for a full-length blade. I believe I set it for, it was set at 113 pixels. I went ahead and I set it at 123 just to be safe. Let your blade lock up. Blade lockup to me is always a little bit weird on a Golden Harvest. Like I feel like what I'm doing is I'm double pressing the button and then I'm holding it down on the second press. When I let go and I get that blade lockup, it will stay like that and you can move it around. And when you want to disengage the lockup, you just hit auxiliary again. Let's see if we can even turn this guy on. I think it will still turn on. So this is on right now. So that's the sound of this one. And this is the sound of this one. I don't even think you can hear this one, right? I'll turn this one off. And we'll come over here and turn this one off. All right, so hopefully you can tell on camera what kind of a difference in sound quality you've got. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the blade out of this guy. Put this over here real quick. Take the pommel off. When you're ready to turn this off, just take the pommel off, grab your speaker, pull it out, and then we'll turn this on from here. So you can see that it's on, and then I'm going to insert the kill key into the recharge port. Then it kills power like it should. All right, so that is basically your MK1. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will box this guy up and get it out in the mail to you today. Thanks.